Nelk is sleeping on our couch. Biggest fumble of all time. Steve came to our house one day before Nelk managed him or anything. He pulled me to the thing one time. He's like, would you manage me, bro? I'm like, dude, I would. But I was like, at the time, I was just like, I was printing so much cash. I cut off all my friends. Everyone around me is a bad influence. I can't be friends with anybody because ultimately, like, they don't have the weight on the shoulders that I have. I knew that if I didn't make it, my mom would be homeless. People don't know this, but Supreme Patty was the king of Instagram. For 6 months, today's equivalent's I Show Speed. Patty was I Show Speed.
He was that big.
We scale this relationship. We're making fucking $1 million a month. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be a millionaire when I'm 18. I was the second person to book Playboy Cardi in LA.
Come on.
When he had like under 50,000 followers. Tory Lane's last show in Miami was at my Pudgy Penguins. His last show ever before he got locked up was at my house party in Miami. I'd take all these Von Dutch hats. I go to every TikToker in the city, every rapper in the city, and I just start seeding them. First month, 150 G's. Second month, 300-400 G's. Next month, 600, 700 G's. And by the time I left, it's millions. Drake just posted a picture of the Von Dutch hat. I'm all of Drake's followers with a picture of that hat on their fucking story on the swipe up. I'm printing 20 ROAS, 15 ROAS, literally printing money like candy.
Welcome to the MBH podcast, Money Buys Happiness. Guys, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, do the duties, okay? I'm not going to keep this intro long. Want to get straight to it. Luca Netz, what's up, brother? How are you?
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for coming down.
Thanks for having us. This space is incredible. I was just talking to Jose and you off the camera. I was like, this is unbelievable. I might have to become your neighbor soon.
Yeah, I hope so.
We'll figure that out. But listen, I want to get straight to it, okay? That's how I do things. I'm going to start pretty crazy, okay? $100 million net worth. That's what the internet's telling me. True or false?
On paper, it's probably a lot more, but like, you know, Drake has a line. He's like, fuck your net worth. What's your personal funds? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And dude, it's like on paper, like 3 months ago, I was probably worth $1 billion on paper. On paper today, I'm probably worth like 300-400 million, but like what is on paper?
Yeah, facts.
What's your net worth? Like in reality, like what's your personal funds? I like that analogy a lot. Actually, that Drake bar really sits with me because it's like, net worth is a number that can be, you know, equity in businesses, things like that, you know, but like, what's your personal funds? What's in my Wells Fargo? What's in my Bank of America?
I think a lot of people need to recognize that line. It's facts.
Yeah.
Okay. So the internet isn't lying though, on paper at least.
On paper, it's probably like 300-400 million.
Wow.
I mean, the last fundraise for Pudgy Penguins was at 750 million.
Wow.
And I own, you know, around 50%, 45%.
Sure.
So
incredible.
Just that is probably that.
So if you think about it on contrast now, comparing, you know, you even saying that number, like on paper, I'm worth this, a couple $100 million, and you compare that to your childhood and your upbringing, I want to show people the contrast between where you are now and where you started. Because I think it was a very different story. Yeah. So let's walk through a little bit of your early life, okay? Yeah. A, what were you like as a kid? B, what was your upbringing like? Kind of walk us through it. Give us a story.
Yeah, so my mom was a single mom with 2 kids, 2 different dads. My brother is older than me. My mom moved us to America because my brother and I were American citizens. Okay. She was not an American citizen, so she had a hard time getting work. But she wanted us to be in America because we were American, and she just didn't believe in like the European system. And, well, maybe even before that, we were bouncing around all over Europe, staying with my mom's family as she separated with my dad, who was kind of like her second husband.
So where are you from originally? Like where does your mom originate from?
My mom is from France. Okay. She's French and Polish. My dad is Austrian and German. Okay. Oh, I don't know my dad. Okay. So he was in the picture for the first couple of years of my life. So when they separated, my mom moved back to her parents. Then we started bouncing around all over Europe, London, France. You know, spent a couple years bouncing around. She came to the conclusion that she wanted to go to America because we were American. We're dual citizens, but we were born, both my brother and I were born in America. Okay. Then we moved to America, and because she wasn't legal. She was just working, taking care of homes or babysitting. And it was kind of like an O'Hare situation. So for those not familiar, like a maid that sleeps at the house or a caretaker that sleeps at the house. That's kind of how like my mom was finagling like a roof over her head. So we just bounce around guest bedroom to guest bedroom, couch to couch, place to place.
You were living where your mom was living.
Yeah.
As like a caretaker or a nanny.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, she would just do whatever she could to be productive and justify like why we would get this room. I mean, sometimes there was like no kids or, you know, just friends, but she just try to be productive and take care of the house and try to not be like a complete liability. So we did that, you know, basically in 10 years, 14 different places. So bouncing around, and then we finally settled down in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And Los Angeles is where I spent my teenage years. So basically like my conscious childhood as I grew up in LA. She was able to settle down, was able to get work as a stylist because she was into fashion and was,
cool.
You know, had a good sense of style there. And, you know, still living paycheck though, like Los Angeles, 2 kids. Her mom would make like $3-4 grand a month. So if like you understand LA, she like tried to put us in like a decent neighborhood. So I wasn't like deep in the hood. You know, so like every month she was like zeroing out the account and kind of square one. So that was pretty interesting. Some months better than others because she was freelance. So it was basically like if there was a commercial, she would style the commercial.
Yes.
You know, if there was 3 months would go by without a commercial, she wouldn't work. Then maybe there was like 3 months where she would.
But I want to pause for a second because there was so much there.
Yeah.
You said 14 places in 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the age range for you between those 10 years?
2 to 12.
Okay. So obviously, I guess the earlier years, it's hard to really even understand what's happening. But I think once you start hitting like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, like, what is that like for you? Because obviously bouncing around places means different schools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just different friends, like never being stable. That has to take a toll on you to some extent. And maybe you didn't know in the moment, but now looking back at your age and thinking about it, like, what was that like? That's insane.
You don't realize it in real time. And then you look at it post. So like, I feel like I have a really good understanding of people. I think like my superpower is understanding people. I'm a marketer, right? Like people know me for that. I think that's because it's like, I've lived in $30 million homes and I've lived in like ghettos and bullshit, right? So I know so many different sides of the spectrum, so many different ethnic backgrounds I've been able to kind of like immerse myself into. So there was a pro there, like the con is like some traumatic, there's like a little bit of trauma, like, ever since I've been making money, though some people would argue against it, like I've been buying homes because I'm just so scared of not having a home. So like,
interesting.
You know, where I probably should have bought Bitcoin in 2018, I was buying a house, a shitty townhouse in LA, which didn't appreciate anything in value over 5 years. So like, but it was because of, you know, that PTSD. So I think that, that kind of, you know, during the time, it doesn't affect you. What affects you is your mom freaking out, is the nervous breakdowns. Is like, and my mom would beat the shit out of us. And like when my brother and I would fight, that's where the chaos would ensue. Is like, oh, we're leaving. She's freaking out. Me and my brother get into a routine fight because she's dealing with all this pressure. She has a nervous breakdown.
Yes.
And like the ass whooping is like 10 times worse than the ass whooping would have been, or like the timeout would have been, you know, prior to that.
Fair.
That's where I think those moments really affected us. But in the moment, it felt kind of cool. Like you were bouncing around, new situations, new setups. We were always like a tight unit, like the Three Musketeers. So we always were able to kind of hold it down.
Did you ever have a period of your life where you maybe like had some resentment towards your mom because you maybe didn't understand the like how fucking hard her life was in that moment?
Yeah. So when I became a teenager, when we finally settled down in Los Angeles and I started to become conscious and I started to see, like, I started to make friends who had stable like lives. I was able to like really start sleeping over people's houses and like really build that camaraderie and that friendship. I started to see that like how bad our life was versus how good some other people's lives were. So specifically, my best friend growing up in high school was a guy named Pronto. I used to stay at Pronto's house all the time, and his family was super successful. I mean, they lived like a premier fucking your dream life that you would want to live in LA. And it was during that time that I started to have a lot of hate for my mom. So for like from ages like 13 to like 17, I really hated my mom.
Yeah.
And it was like a constant fight, so much resentment. But it was that ultimately like drove me to go and like push myself out of the situation. We'll probably get into that in a sec, but there was definitely a lot of resentment, probably from ages 13 to 17, as I started to see that like, oh, our life these last 10 years haven't been normal, and we still haven't figured it out, and life still sucks.
Yeah.
And why does it have to be this way?
Yeah.
Especially because there's a lot of variables that make a lot more sense to that, but I won't share them on this podcast.
No, and that's fair. And the reason why I want to bring that up, and I feel like it's so important, is because a lot of people listening, you maybe, and we'll talk about it, got to the point where you actually understood like why your life was like that, and you probably actually ended up not resenting your mom and maybe feeling bad because understanding how tough her life was. But there's people who go 30, 40 years resenting their parents and never realizing like, A, it's their first time in life going through it, right? So like they're obviously going to make mistakes. And B, you have to look at their situation, right? They're trying their best majority of the time. Obviously there are bad parents. I'm not going to say there isn't, right? So I say that, I bring that up to tell people that you need to give your parents a break, and you need to really like actually look back and see what they did for you, right? And I'm sure it's going to play into your story of now why you are so successful, right? So, okay, so you land in LA, you're stable there now, you spent your teenage years there now. Was the upbringing that you had a reason for you to say, fuck, I need to make money? Like, when did that spark in you?
Yeah, I smoked my first joint like at 15.
Same.
And me and my friends, me and Pronto, we were going to buy a gram of weed, and he was short like $5. So I go into my mom's purse and I steal like a couple dollars worth of quarters. She had no dollars. I stole quarters. And I gave him a bunch of quarters. I felt like such a bum. And we ended up getting high, whatever. I came back home that night and she was crying because of the quarters that I stole out of her thing. Now, mind you, we've gone through 15 years of hell together pretty much, but things were it felt stable. It felt like, okay, we've had a roof over our head. It's been consistent now for a couple of years. Like, sure, we're not rolling in it and doing vacations or any of those things, but like, I didn't know stealing quarters would make her cry, And then I think that's when I kind of had become a little disillusioned, where I was spending so much time with Pronto and his family that I almost was like living his life. And so like being relatively, being a rich kid in LA, like you have it's a really fun life, right? You have a different, parameter on how you go about things. Like you're getting high, you're sleeping with girls, like you're not thinking about the future. You're just trying to be like as rambunctious, have as much fun as you possibly can.
You're in the moment. You're
in the moment, right? And then like you supplement that with like a really awesome house that you're spending the night at. I'd spend like 3-4 nights a week at his house. So even like the weekdays were unconscious from like Friday to Monday, like I was there. And then I started to realize that like, then when I stole the money out of her wallet, that was a really aha moment, because I was like, if Pronto stole some money out of his parents' wallet, like nobody would be crying. And it became really clear to me that like I couldn't keep hanging out with Pronto the way that I wanted to, or go down the same path that he was going down, because we had 2 different lives and 2 different responsibilities. And I was getting to the point where I was almost 16. And I was like, I just need to make some money. And then one night, a friend of mine that Pronto introduced me to is a guy named Nathan, one of my great friends even today, one of my closest friends. We threw like a party in the valley, and we just charged it at the door. That night, I think we made like $1,000 each. And that was such a huge moment for me. Because I was like, dude, I made $1,000. Like my mom works like weeks for that. And like, this is insane. This is like so much. This is like life-changing, And then I'm like, I just want to do this. And so I was super studious. Like I was a skateboarder. I was smoking weed. I was a bad kid doing graffiti, getting into fights, doing the whole 9. but I also was super studious. So it was really important to me that I could do both. So I actually like really wore that like a badge. I was like, yeah, I'm the kid in the Thrasher hoodie, like with the cute girl, like getting high, getting into fights, but I'm gonna go in the class and I'm gonna mop everybody in the class. And that's what I did. So I was 10th grade year, I had 4 APs, right? AP Environmental, AP English, AP Algebra. So I was like, I was on fire.
Yeah.
And then as I made that $1,000, subsequently, it was the end of the semester.
Okay.
And I knew that if I was going to go to college, I needed to get a scholarship, and that grades were really important for me. So I ended up getting 4 Bs and 2 As, and 2 of the Bs were like 88s and 89s. And I had pleaded with the teachers to bump those up to A's, and they didn't. And so I got 4 Bs, that report card, and 2 A's. And I was like, that's not going to get me a scholarship in anything meaningful. And I was like, I'm just on a path that like, I'm just not catching a break, and I just made this money and I just want to go make money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Nate and I start scaling up the party business. We then start going, this is where it takes a really cool turn, and I think you'll appreciate this. But then we were like, okay, so how do we pack out these parties? Because like, you know, the Valley party was interesting, unique time, unique date, like, you know, unique poll, whatever. But we're like, okay, like shows were starting to pop off in LA. There was a group called Ham on Everything that was starting to throw like these underground rap shows, and they were selling out. And I was doing the math and I was like, he's making some serious money.
Okay.
So we started to go around venues in Hollywood and South LA, and we started booking like abandoned warehouses and like abandoned apartments.
Cool.
And we started to rent out these locations, and we started to book artists. And I was the first person to book, I was the second person to book Playboi Carti in LA.
Come on.
When he had like under 50,000 followers.
Wow.
I was the first person to book Suicide Boys, their LA show ever. They had 13,000 followers. It was Fat Nick, Puya, Suicide Boys. It was a disaster. It was on the second floor of an apartment building in downtown, and they almost caved in.
I was going to say, that sounds insane.
It was insane. It stunk so bad. It smelled like so much shit. And ironically, guess who was at my gym 3 weeks ago at Lifetime? Fat Nick goes to my gym. I was like, bro, you know, like 7 years ago, I was a jit. You guys cursed me out. You guys hated me because the show was so bad, but like it made a ton of money. But it was still so bad. It was so chaotic. Helicopters everywhere. Like this venue stunk. The sound was awful. The stage was awful. Everything was bad.
Yeah.
And he was like, and whatever. But we were throwing these underground rap shows, and they were going really well. So Suicide Boys was one. Another funny one was I was booking Shoreline Mafia was opening all my shows for free.
Like
every show I did, Shoreline Mafia was opening it.
That's insane.
Yeah,
bro.
because they were this group out of Long Beach, and every time they showed up to one of our events, they brought 100 people. So it was like a free 2 racks.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
They had a cult fan base that would always pull up to their events. They would always buy their tickets, and Shoreline would open up all my events.
That's insane,
D
bro.
Savage, the whole crew, like
That's
that
insane.
whole crew, Uno the Activist, that whole like underground rap scene.
Wow.
So I was like running all these shows through them. Was making a ton of money, but the show started getting last one is Sesh Hollow Water Boys, right? Xavier Wolf, Bones, all these guys, right? So I booked like 4 Sesh Hollow Water Boy shows. I squeezed the Sesh Hollow Water because they were the craziest one, because you would pay Chris Travis and Xavier like $3,000, $4,000 to come up to the venue and show out. These dudes would bring out 1,000 people to the venue.
Yeah, so it was easy math.
It was like, easy math.
Yeah.
$20 a ticket, $3,000-$4,000 for the venue, $5,000-$6,000 for Sesh Hollow Water Boys, $10,000 profit. I was rinsing and repeating it. It was like the easiest money of all time.
Okay. Before we move from there, at that point, because there's so much to unpack there. First of all, okay, you do the first party, it starts growing, and you're like, okay, there's fucking money here. Like, okay, you're probably seeing green, bro.
Seeing green,
especially because at that time,
more stoked.
Exactly. So, how old are you at this point?
I'm 15 and a half, just on the verge of turning 16. Call it 16 in a day.
Okay, and how long do you run that for?
I run that for a year and a half. So I do a little bit of like parties. So the parties kind of ebbed and flowed because there wasn't the cost of the artist, but they always got shut down. It was really hard to pull people in, and like you'd always had to break bread with a lot of different like, you know, popular people in the valley.
Promoters, promoters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we did the parties, but the shows were really starting to compound and take off.
Okay, and so you're 16 doing this.
Yeah.
Like, does your mom know at all what you're doing?
Yeah, she does. I have a big wad of cash. I make sure, and next to my bedstand, a big fat stack of cash. I'm like, I make sure she sees it every time she walks into my room.
Nice.
And you won't even. There's a part of this story that I haven't told anyone publicly, which we're gonna get into in a sec.
Okay.
Which I think is epic. But I'm throwing these shows.
Yes.
I'm running them.
Yes.
The problem is the shows start getting shut down, and I start getting arrested. But I get away with any like real implications and charges because any agreement that I signed with the venue, then none of them checked my ID because I'm a tall ass dude.
Yeah.
And they just assumed that I was 18 plus doing this.
Yes.
That anytime I got arrested, all of the charges were dismissed, at least on my side, because none of the contracts that I was signing were binding.
Yeah, and so you had no liability.
I was getting away, but they were taking my money. That was the problem. So I was still losing, but I wasn't losing as bad as like underage drinking because we were doing the whole bar and like we were really trying to finagle 100 different ways. So our whole thing, so it started to come to an end. It started to become like clear to me. All the while I tested out of school. So I took a test called the CHESP. I didn't drop out. I tell people I dropped out because it's the easiest thing to understand. But I took a thing called the California High School Proficiency Exam, which is basically like a way that you get like your high school diploma and you can go to university off of the backs of that. It's not dropping out. It's like a real test that you take. So I took that test. At this point, right, to go full time in the shows. I also subsequently want to be a rapper. We're not going to get into that, but I'm starting. So I take this test. I want to be a rapper. I'm throwing these shows. Right. So I'm spending my time like, you know, we call it the trap. Like during the day, I'm in the trap. At night, like I'm either trapping or I'm trying to, you know, go and schedule and figure out these shows. I keep getting arrested. The money, it doesn't start making sense. So then I do the math. And then I'm like, okay, after the first year of doing this basically full time, I go from 16 to 17. I do the math. Crazy. And I'm like, I only have like 20 grand. So I'm like, if I would have just worked a job this whole time and just saved all this money, I would have had more.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was like, oh shit, this doesn't make any sense. So then I'm like, okay, the shows are going to come to an end because I don't see a path to scaling it and there's too much risk. Too many variables that I wasn't comfortable with. The police, the gangsters, because these shows too, like I'm not doing like little white girl raves. Like I'm doing like underground rap shows,
there's hood mags
literally like on Manchester and Broadway, where like Crips are trying to like take my, you know, I'm coming out of the venue with a wad of cash, right? Like Crips are trying to rob me for my shit. You know what I mean? 60s, that's all 60s area and all that. So I'm like, okay, screw this. This is just not worth it. And and then I also realized that I'm not a rapper. I'm never gonna be a rapper. Like,
that was probably the big piece right there.
That was a big piece too, because my friends were good, and I was like, I'm not good. I'm not nearly as good as my friends. So who the fuck do I think I am? Mac Miller, you know, like, so I sunset the rap career and then I get a job. I take 100 resumes, I print them out. I go up and down Fairfax, up and down Melrose, handing out all my resumes. I need a job. Nobody. Then I go up and down Tech Row in Santa Monica. I need a job. Here, give me a job. Then I go to this little shack. I forget what street it was on, 27th or whatever. I go to some little shack in Tech Row, rinky-dink shack. I hand in my resume, whatever. It's this weird tech startup called Ring Doorbell. Nobody knows what it is.
Bro.
Right, yes. So the CEO, the guys over there are like, yo, I respect the hustle. He's like, how old are you? I'm like, 17. He's like, are you in school? No, I tested out. I want to make money. He's like, I'm going to give you a shot. I'm like, great.
Wow.
I'm like packing boxes. I'm like, great. I was the first person or like the second person packing boxes at Ring Doorbell. One of like their first 20, 25 employees. Over in that Santa Monica rinky-dink office.
Fuck, that's insane.
Yeah, it's insane.
By chance, like you had no idea.
No,
and they were nobodies probably at that time.
I was just handing them out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, it was a bullshit. It was Doorbot even. It wasn't even called Ring Doorbell. It was called Doorbot.
Wow. So how long are you there for?
So I go in there. I start like a week after giving my resume. I sunset everything else. All the while, I cut off all my friends. So I have this epiphany. I'm like, everyone around me is a bad influence. My rapper friends, my party friends, my show friends, my skateboarding friends. I'm like, all of my friends, my rich friends, like all of these guys are either getting high, you know, worried about careers that like won't make any money, i.e. rapping and skateboarding, you know, and or like they're just focused on girls and getting laid and just getting like as high as possible, like in any which dimension is like physically, whether it's mental or physical. So I'm like, I cut off all my friends once I get this job. I'm like, that's done. I can't be friends with anybody because ultimately, like, they don't have the weight on the shoulders that I have. Cause like I knew that if I didn't make it, my mom would be homeless. Like my mom, because my mom was starting to have knee problems, and my mom's job was really labor intensive. People don't know, but being like a stylist for commercials, what they do is they like go to Zara, they get all the clothes, they return them, they slop them. It's like a really hard physical job.
Yes.
I was like, bro, my mom has zero savings. And in 5 years, 10 years, she won't be able to do this job because her knee's going to give out. And I was like, she's going to be homeless. Like,
but you realize that at 17, which again is very early. Was there like a specific moment or a day? Like, what set that off? Because you had the first part where you're like, I need to make fucking money.
Yeah.
And that's always like the first part. And you're not thinking about anything else, but just like, I need money.
Yeah.
But at 17 to be like, okay, cut my friends off. They're all bad influences. Like, there's people who are 30 that can't realize that.
It was the podcasts. It was like I started to just realize that I wanted to be a certain person, and this certain person wasn't around me. So the strategy that I took is a saying as old as time. It's like, if you want to be a millionaire, hang around 5. If you want to be a loser, hang around 5.
Yeah.
Now, the conundrum for me was I didn't know 5 millionaires, but I was hanging around 5 losers. So I was destined to be a loser.
Yes.
So what I did was I cut off the losers. And I decided that my 5 millionaire friends were not only going to be one-sided relationships, meaning I was going to be their friend. They weren't going to be my friend, and they didn't even know I existed because these 5 millionaires were on YouTube. And so I was like, 0 losers. I got 5 millionaire friends. They don't talk back to me. They don't know who I am, but they're my friend, and I'm going to spend my every waking moment listening to them.
Yes. Okay.
Right?
Who are those 5? Or
I couldn't even tell you, but they were just like, it was the YouTube successful
universe.
Like, it's 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
Yeah,
now.
they're different then than they are now.
Yeah, they're different then than they are now. But like,
yes,
you know, anyone that was smart, like, that was my sphere of influence. The sphere of influence, like fact was a very interesting one for me, which was like, you are what you're around. You are the music you listen to. So I stopped listening to rap because I was like, dude, this is just like this. The thoughts that are running through my head listening to rap are not productive thoughts.
Yeah.
Right. Versus like, the thoughts when listening to a podcast are super productive. And if I want to listen to music, I should probably listen to like rock or like some sounds, because like my thoughts are way more productive than gangster rap. Like gangster rap, your thoughts are very much like, how do I flex? How do I make money to splurge money? Like, how do I sleep with girls and treat them like shit? Like, those are just the thoughts that run through.
That's so underrated. You say that. Like, that is such an underrated point. Like, not enough people realize, okay, the podcasting is one thing, but like the music you listen to is almost as important as the people you hang around.
It's just as important as the food you feed yourself.
Yes.
It's sphere of influence, right? It's the food that you eat, the music you listen to, and don't even take my word for it. Just case study it. Anybody here can do it. Go to work one day listening to gangster rap and record and think about what you're thinking when you're listening to that music. Go to that next day, go to work listening to classical music.
Yeah.
Record your thoughts as to what you're thinking about. Then listen to country. Then listen to, you'll see it's a whole different spectrum and line of thought. Like in reality, like the indoctrination of music and like, you know, certain like, bro, trust me. Even today, right? Like I'm running basically $1 billion business with 100+ employees. Like if I go home right now, listen to NBA YoungBoy, I'm about to go shoot some shit.
Yeah.
Who the fuck am I to go think? Who am I to go think about going to go drill some shit?
Yeah.
I'm a schmuck like that. Like, and of course I would never do that, you know. But that's what I want to do when I listen to some young boy. I want to go drill some shit.
Yes, it's facts.
You know,
it's facts.
But that's so stupid because like I should just stop listening to young boy in that case. Maybe I'll listen to if I want to feel like really hyped and amped. I'll go listen to young boy. But I cut all that stuff out.
Yes.
I go to Ring. I start working, packing the boxes. But while I'm packing the boxes, I got my headphones in. I got the YouTube playing, right, of the smart guys. I'm like, okay, I just dropped out of school. I better make sure that while I'm packing these boxes, I'm stacking and starving. One, which I very much implemented. Stack or starve was a big thing for me. I literally starved. I'll get into that in a sec.
Okay.
But I was stacking and starving, and I was listening to these podcasts.
Yes.
So 2 things happened. The first one is a really important lesson, which is, to the point of stacking and starving, every paycheck I would save every penny of it. My mom was living at my mom's house. I took the bus to work. Bus was 125 there, 125 back. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It consisted of 3 things: sausage egg McMuffin, sausage egg McMuffin, and sausage egg McMuffin.
Legendary.
$5 total. Because I never understood how somebody could make $100 in a day and spend $20 of it on lunch.
Yeah.
I was like, you are an idiot.
Yes.
Right? So it was either sausage egg McMuffin or sausage egg McMuffin, sausage egg McMuffin. There was nothing else. I ate those 3 things
Crazy.
every day, 5 days a week. I'd come into the office at 6 a.m. to try to get in there early. I'd be out of the office by 3, and then I'd have the rest of the day to go be productive and try to do something, hang out with my girlfriend, whatever, because she got out of school.
Wow.
So that was my stack or starve mode. That was my one mental model. All the while I was packing the boxes, and I got upgraded to RMA, but I was packing the boxes, listening to the podcast. The head of quality assurance, the head of engineering in the little shack, like, was able to look down on me. And so he took a liking to me. His name was Nolan. He was like, yo, I think you're super smart. Like, we started building a relationship. He then upgraded me from packing boxes to RMA. Which was like diagnosing, getting returns in and diagnosing the issue. So I started to learn a little bit of Python.
Sure.
I started to learn a little bit of code. I felt dope. Call it like a year. This is like 17. So call it like 8 months into it.
Okay.
Ring doorbell goes to the roof.
Yeah.
New packaging, new design. Sales are out the wazoo. I mean, there's 10 new employees coming in this office. They're buying buildings left and right. New fundraising rounds. These guys are a bunch of beasts. Right?
Crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
and I'm seeing it ground level. I'm seeing Jamie punch hole in walls. I mean, there was a whole subsection in one of the offices that was just holes in walls. This guy kept on fucking decking the walls because he was so angry. I respected it, but I was like, this is who I want to be. I want to be Jamie.
Now you had like a vision of like, oh, this is somebody that I can actually look up to that's not on YouTube.
Totally.
That's in front of me.
Totally.
How important was now the transition from my YouTube like mentor friends to like, whoa, here's this guy that's actually in my proximity.
The YouTube mentors always stayed, but having that real proximity and seeing that success in real time in the headlines was just insane.
Of course.
And then I was like, okay, it's go time. It's time to really be a beast and to go and do something. And I was like, at least I knew what I wanted to be and I saw it in real time.
Yes.
But then there was a problem.
Okay.
The problem was working at Ring, when they started to scale, I saw my future at the company dwindle. It was a great time, learned the whole sales pitch, whatever. But then I'm like, these commission checks aren't hitting. They're parading me like I'm making 15 G's a month. But I'm like, bro, for the last 6 months, I've been making $6,000 a month. So like, where's this 15 grand?
Where's my money, bro?
Right? And like, and then like half of the deals that I closed, like half of them are falling through. Like something's wrong with the roof once they diagnose it, or they get cold feet or whatever it is. And I'm like, oh, this is just weak. So then I'm like, okay, something's got to happen. Then one day I'm scrolling through Instagram. At this point, I got my own little apartment. I move out of my mom's crib. I got my own little apartment. I got my 335i BMW. I'm like the king of the fucking castle. I'm like the man.
Oh, you were living,
I'm lit.
bro.
I'm
You
lit.
were
I'm lit,
living.
bro. I'm at this point, like at this point, I'm like 8. I'm at this point, I'm 18. Just got my own apartment. Girl. Money, savings, got a wad of cash in a shoebox, 25, 30 grand. I had just lost it all. Like I was going to go into that story, but I'm not going to tell it. I just came back. I was the golden boy. But I was like, dude, this sucks. Cause like I'm supposed to be making way more.
Yeah.
So I'm scrolling through Instagram one day on a Saturday, and I scroll through, and some kid's name is Jet Set Fly. Josh Madrid. I remember he's still around, poking around doing his thing. And he's like, my little brother made $15,000 a day. What are you doing, loser?
Classic.
And I'm like, fuck, I'm a loser, aren't I? I bought that dude's course for $299. The course didn't really teach me shit. But what it did teach me was this universe that I didn't know existed, which was Shopify and a Burlo and dropshipping, which was this idea that I could start a Shopify store, plug in this automation app in a Burlo, which basically like allowed me to sell anything on my website without having to inventorize it.
Yeah.
So to me as like an entrepreneur, I was like, wait, this is insane. You're telling me I can start any business in the world and not inventorize it, so not incur any of the overhead, and literally just make margin as I sell it.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And then I saw the whole AliExpress and I saw how cheap a lot of this shit really was. I was like, dude, this is great. So then what was the first business that I got into? I'm right now I'm still doing the solar sales.
Okay.
I start my first drop shipping business. Guess what it is? Fake gold chains and cubic zirconia diamonds to look like your favorite rapper. Because I was like, that's my shit. You know what I mean? I was like, this is exactly what I do.
Nice.
And I would buy it. I was like, bro, I would totally buy this fake gold diamond chain for $100.
Yeah.
Like, I remember we'd be buying that shit all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that it was $5, and then like, you know, in his little course, it was clear like where the problems in drop shipping lied. Like it lied in the returns, in the shipping experience, whatever. So jewelry was a great niche because it was like low shipping, no returns. You can't really fuck up a necklace.
Facts.
You know what I mean? You can fuck up a t-shirt 100 different ways. You can fuck up whatever else nonsense they're selling. Right? You can't fuck up a necklace.
It's easy. It's
right?
simple.
It's super simple. And the margins were through the roof. Like a $3 little silver chain, like I could sell that for $40 all day.
All day.
I was like, bro, if I sell drugs, I would make less.
Facts.
So I got into this.
Okay.
And the first sale, man, once I heard that cha-ching, I was like, it's over.
How long did it take for you to get
It didn't take that
sale?
long because I was just cold DMing. I was just hustling. I was just selling one by one like a salesman.
Okay.
So once I heard the cha-ching, I was like, okay, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And at this point, now I'm just like, I'm hustling it like one at a time. I'm like now understanding the different marketing strategies, whatever. And like I'm probably averaging like $50 to $100 a day within like the first couple of weeks.
You're probably losing your mind at that point.
I'm losing my mind. So I'm now a closer. I have my own office.
Yeah.
In Green Solar Technologies.
They fucked up doing that.
No, they fucked up doing that. So I'm just behind my cubicle. No one's telling me shit. They love me. I'm just working.
Yeah.
Within like a month, the guys are like, yo, you ain't closed a deal in a month. That's not like you. You're closing a deal a week. I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm riding the clock. I'm just using they're paying for my split testing.
Nice.
And then I crack a strategy. I'm like, I need to get one of these rappers to promote it. So I start hitting up some of the rappers that I booked. They're all blowing up now. They're like 10 grand, 20 grand. I'm like, fuck you, Buster.
Yeah.
Get out of here. You right? And then I remember the first person I went to was a Little Pump fan page. He had 50,000 followers.
Yeah.
I was like, how much for a feed post? He was like, $50. I was like, bet, $50.
Done.
Post this. He posted it. Thousands of dollars in sales.
Come on.
I was like, ugh.
You're like,
Because
I cracked the
if I
code.
couldn't pay Little Pump to promote it,
Yeah.
Little Pump's fan page had his highest concentration of his loyal followers were on the Little Pump fan page.
And those are the guys buying
Those are the guys
jewelry.
really trying to look like Little Pump.
Yes.
Right?
So smart.
So
fucking smart.
I went to all the rapper fan pages.
Yeah.
And I leaned in. Ba, 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 ba. And all of a sudden I'm making 5, 10, 15 bands a day. And now I quit the job. I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm like, later, Robbie. Appreciate you, brother. I'm out. And then there's this famous picture of Playboy Cardi with some clout goggles. Remember those clout goggles?
Yes.
It's the famous like Cobain picture.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like, bro, I just saw these on AliExpress for like $3 a piece. So I take the Playboy Cardi creative and I start running it. Boom. Now I'm making 10 grand a day on the fake chains. Another glasses fall into the same category of like low ship. You can't fuck up some glasses, right? So now I'm running this Playboy Cardi creative. I'm making another 10 grand a day. I'm compounding. Now I'm rich.
Yeah.
And then I see this kid on the timeline. He's blown up. His name is Supreme Patty.
Oh God, you got him, eh? You
So
got him
Supreme
early.
Patty's whole shtick was with the clout goggles.
Yes.
So I was like, Patty, I got on the phone with Patty, whatever. I'm like, yo, look, how much for an advertisement? I talked to his manager, Mills. I'm like, how much for an advertisement? It's like $200 to $500. I ran it, right?
Easy.
10 grand, 20 grand off the backs of his post. I'm printing. I'm like, holy shit. I run it a couple times. And then Patty and I start becoming friends. So Patty, same thing, single mom. She's got 2 kids, poor as shit.
Yeah.
I was talking to Patty. Every time I was talking to Patty, he was sleeping on the floor. Dead ass. He'd call me from his like little bed on the floor.
Holy
in
fuck.
Gainesville, because he's going to school up in Gainesville.
While you're making.
While I'm printing a Palooza. So this is where I come to this is
crazy.
So I'm like, dude, I feel terrible. I'm like, I'm loving this. But I'm like, bro, you're sleeping on the floor. I'm low-key getting rich here. And I'm like, you're my boy.
Yeah.
So Mills and Patty are like, we're gonna fly down to LA. Like, can we stay at your house? Because right now I'm the only guy who's paid him any money, basically. Me and like one other guy.
Fair.
They come to my house, whatever. We're all like vibing. It's like a complete circus show, bro. Like, dude, I could show you these early videos. I mean, dude, I could show you these videos. They're like eating, like they got this fat dude. I forget his name, Troubles. Like they were like feeding him dog shit. He was eating. I was throwing up. It was so disgusting. But basically, like I'm 18 years old. These dudes are at my house, and I'm like, dude, I really love this kid, Patty, man. He's just a good fucking dude, and. Like, let's just also put in he's growing like 20,000 followers a day.
Yeah, he's
and
flying.
every time I'm in LA, I'm just like scrolling. I'm like, dude's going from like, dude landed here at 300,000 followers. He got 500,000 followers. He keeps this up, he's gonna have like 10 million followers.
Yeah,
right?
Flying, yeah.
And I'm having a great time. They're including me in their skits, and it's like every boy's dream to be in these little fucking skits, whatever. You can still see me in all these skits in his early Supreme Patty, but it's the best time of our lives. And I come down to him and I'm like, look, dude, like you've made me a fortune. And I think we should just partner on this. And I think we should make supremepatty.com. And I think we should just add all of these products that I'm selling, add some other merch, whatever. And like, once I showed them the numbers, they were game. I was like, 50-50, let's get into this, let's do it.
Well, for sure. For them, it's a no-brainer. They were making $500 for the post.
Yes,
you made 30 G's.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So what I didn't know is that now, because it was supremepatty.com, his audience trusted it 10 times more.
Oh.
So the sales went from fucking 10K a story to 50, 60, 70, 80, 100K a story.
Holy
Every time
fuck.
he'd swipe up.
Yeah.
And we would sell these free, and then he coined this new thing, free chains. So I was never selling free chains before, but he was like, dude, what if everything was free? And because the price is so cheap, we just charge shipping and handling. They're like, look at all these guys on the TV doing this. So if you go on TV, all the ads on TV are like free plus shipping, first 3 months free. Yeah. Like it was the whole like the QVC fucking infomercial strategy.
Yeah.
Boom. Doubled the sales again.
Oh my God.
And now he's gaining like 50. And people don't know this, but Supreme Patty was the king of Instagram.
Yeah.
For 6 months, whatever you think is like today's equivalent's I Show Speed.
Yes.
Patty was I Show Speed.
He was that big.
He was that big.
Yeah.
For like 6 to 12 months.
Yeah. He had his moment and it was insane. Like,
it was insane.
Me being back home in Toronto.
Yes.
He was fucking huge.
He was huge.
Huge.
So
insane.
So these are my guys.
Yeah.
We
crazy.
scale this relationship.
Yeah.
We're making fucking $1 million a month, fucking 100, like a bajillion dollars, like way more money than we could think.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of profit each a month.
Crazy.
So we're like, okay, we're on top of the world. My life has changed. This is like 4 months after I started this whole dropshipping shit. 5 months after I started the
I was gonna say, so you're like what, 19 now?
I'm like 18 and a half. I'm like 18 and 3/4.
Holy fuck. Okay.
And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be a millionaire when I'm 18.
Yeah.
Right? We move in together. They move down to LA. We get a house in Studio City. We're fucking just raking in the cash. They're doing, and not all the cash aside, like, dude, I didn't realize it at the time. And I'm so grateful for them outside of the money. And I'm sure I think we're both equally reciprocally grateful for the money, right? Because like without them, I don't make as much. I would have been rich regardless, but like that was the part I'm really grateful for that relationship for was like the moment in time. Like, dude, I was 18 and a half, clocking a couple hundred G's profit a month. Right? Off of one fucking store, one operation. It was fully automated. I had one guy, Amir, come in. He did the whole thing. Yeah. Right? And we were traveling around the country doing pranks and making stupid videos. And we'd go to malls and they would swarm us. They would swarm us, dude.
Like at 18, what an experience and what a fucking contrast from where you started.
Dude, what a contrast.
Yeah.
And we're getting swarmed and we're doing the funniest pranks and we're traveling and we're fucking getting everything comped and we're just living like a bunch of fucking frat boys printing money that are like superstars in the social media world around the country. I stopped doing a little bit of the traveling. I hunker down in the house in LA. They do their thing. And then I talk to Mills and I'm like, now Patty's introducing me when we're traveling. He's like, who's this tall, lanky motherfucker? He's like, he's the money guy. He's like, he's the reason why we're making all this money. And I'm like, whatever. And then I start doing what I'm doing for Patty for everyone else.
Oh, Okay, all the other social media stars.
All the other social media stars. Patty's getting his little cut.
Sure.
He's growing his little like the circus show because it was very much like long neck and all these like
all those guys.
fucking
oh my God,
circus.
Long neck. I forgot about long neck.
It was a circus show, bro. I was literally running like a circuit, like a true circus.
Yeah, insane.
Like an actual like we had the fat neck, wide neck.
Yes.
We had long neck.
Yeah.
We had the fat dude who was eating the shit. We had Patty at the center of it, who was like pretty normal if you asked me. You know, and then
Holy fuck.
Yeah. So long story short, we're doing that, and then my business scales to the roof. Then we're really printing.
Yeah.
Then we moved to Miami 5 years ago.
Okay.
So we got the biggest house in Bay Harbor.
Nice.
If you go to Bay Harbor Island, just find the biggest house. That was our house. It was the whole block. It took the whole block. And then now we're just like, now we're going. Nelk is sleeping on our couch, right? Biggest fumble of all time. Steve came to our house one day before Nelk managed him or anything. This was like, we knew Steve. I think we even put Steve and Nelk together, I would think.
Wow.
The way that it transpired. But Steve came to my house. He like pulled me to the thing one time. He was like, "Would you manage me, bro?" I'm like, "Dude, I would." But I was like, at the time, I was just like, I was printing so much cash, like making money. The problem with my story at this moment now in this stage was like I got really lazy and complacent.
Well, fuck all that money at that age.
I know, but dude, I could have been like Fashion Nova before. Because what I should have done is I should have built a brand like Full Send or Fashion Nova.
Yeah.
Because we were selling shit. We were selling Garbaggio to anyone who would buy it.
Yeah.
It was pure Garbaggio. Like there was no, like I was improving the shipping times and I was inventorizing in the States so it wasn't drop shipping.
Yeah.
Right. But it was Garbaggio.
Yeah.
Like complete Garbaggio.
And on the back of like these sort of stars. So you were never really building your own brand.
No, I wasn't building enterprise value.
Yes.
I was just building like, I was moving product.
Yes.
But I didn't know because I was in poor man syndrome. I was like, I didn't know like this was even possible. I was just trying to have as much profit as possible because I didn't know when the music would stop. This seemed too good to be real. And I was like so out of it and clueless. Like it was so disconnected from reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I didn't know what I had. I didn't know that like this is like one of the true. Bro, this was like Feastables in Prime before Feastables in Prime. Like, think about it. This was
that's what I'm saying. You were building the like almost like the CPG products for these guys before that was even a thing.
Before it was a thing. Influencer marketing was just taking off. It wasn't saturated. It was a fucking blue ocean, and I was the money man with the hottest with speed. Literally every person we get intro to, they were like, we were the hottest thing in the world.
But not taking Steve was a huge fumble,
bruh.
Because he's
but
a
not even that. We could have
superstar.
picked up Nelk. We could have picked up everyone.
Yeah, fair.
We weren't thinking big enough.
Again, what 18, maybe 19?
Dude, Nelk,
all this money.
Jesse and Kyle were coming. They drove from Canada. I remember they drove from Canada to our house in their car.
Crazy.
They were sleeping out of their car. Like out of their car. They were dead broke. This is where Banks actually came in and did like Banks nurtured these guys better than I did. At least Banks nurtured them and built a relationship. I didn't do shit.
Yeah.
But Banks should have built a business, should have owned the whole business.
Yeah, but he didn't even take a dollar. He
didn't take a dollar. He nurtured.
Them.
So I didn't even nurture.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, man, you guys are cool. We're the hottest thing in the world.
Yeah,
whatever.
hang around,
Whatever, you know? But then in hindsight, you see what Full Send is doing and Prime. And I knew that was I knew after Patty had fallen from the throne that that's what was possible. I just couldn't. Now that Patty's intros or the pull, and I'd kind of not tarnished, but like all of my case studies were around shit. I hadn't really shown that I was able to build a brand. I didn't have any like brand case studies.
Yes, okay.
You know what I mean? So I wasn't able to go. I was trying to go pitch brands to these guys, but all my case studies was around Garbaggio.
Understood.
So by the time I understood what I needed to do, like it was over.
But you had that, but you still knew. You're like, okay, fuck. Now I should go start pitching these big boys on like launching their brand, their products.
Kylie Skin was the only case study at the time. I was like,
yeah, that was fucking early.
That
wow,
was early. So
okay.
I was like, okay. I was like, this is where the money is. I was like, oh. So I was trying to figure out what to do with Patty, but we had squeezed the grape over at Patty, so like it was kind of useless at that point.
Yeah.
He was also done with doing the content that he was doing. He was like got a hot girlfriend. He was trying to mature. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? He was like, I'm done with this shit, bro. Like, I just want to be rich and like I don't want to do these stupid little fucking schmuck videos, which I understood.
Fair.
You know? He should have kept doing it, you know what I mean? But still, I understood.
Yeah, I get it.
You know?
I get it.
And so he was like trying to go into a new arc. And then Full Send starts popping off. Then I start seeing the money that everyone else is making. I'm like, oh, bro, I blew this one. Now's when the journey gets into like a story that a lot more people know. But that is like a really in-depth version of like the early telltale sign days of that.
I watched a lot of different interviews with you, and I don't think I've heard.
We never go on that.
90% of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then walk me through this. Then you have all this money. So let's transition into the story that people may know. What happens in between there? So you've made all this money. Do you have like a figure, roughly, what you think you made? I don't know if you know the number off the top.
Yeah, so probably at 21, I had probably made to myself like $6-7 million.
Wow. Personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's not Rev. Rev is probably ridiculous.
No,
number.
Rev is in the hundreds of millions.
Yeah, which is insane at 21, 22.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have this money. Obviously, I'm sure, like any 22-year-old would, not any, but there's the Jeff Bezos, but there's not many of them. You become complacent to some extent.
I become complacent, but then I also, so during that whole process, I become complacent. At 21, I'm like, I need to go build something real.
Yeah.
It's time. I wasted so much time because I'm starting to see my friends catch up. The guys who didn't do the whole short-term money thing, who were building their brand when I started first doing the whole drop shipping stuff. I'm like, oh shit, this guy just hit a $20 million year and like he's about to sell his business for 30. I'm like, I was doing this all wrong. I had a dinner with one of my friend's dads and he's like, Luca, you're making millions of dollars a year is great, right? But like you've built no enterprise value. And like if you had built enterprise value, it'd be worth 20 times what you're worth today.
Yeah, because you could actually
sell what I made. I could exit what I had made, right? Like if I took that $100 million, $200 million in rev and pointed it to like a Fashion Nova or something real, I would be on. I wouldn't even be. I'd be on an island somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. The problem is it was like SupremePatty.com and bullshit.com. It was like 90 different .coms.
Yeah.
Selling the same products.
Yes.
Rather than selling it under one central brand.
Understood.
With a great customer experience.
Okay, so you realize this because you're seeing guys that you knew who were doing the brand thing. Let's say like the Full Sends, for example. They're building enterprise value, and now you're starting to see them sort of catch up in a way.
Totally.
Okay. So what's the idea from there? Like,
the idea from there is like, let me try to go for a year. Me and Peter, I brought Peter into this. I'm like, yo, let's just, because Peter's a big design guy and like high integrity dude. In terms of like really caring about customer experience, like I just never cared about that. I was just cared about cash flow and P&Ls and shit.
Yeah.
And so I went to him. I'm like, yo, let's go do what I've been doing these last couple of years, but let's do it right. And there's a company called LPT Holdings.
Okay.
And so we tried to go do it with like Jay Alvarez and Jake and Logan Paul, and we ended up securing a couple big deals. But like I caught Jake and Logan at their bottom, bro. And I literally like I gave up on it. I was like, dude, this doesn't feel fair.
Yeah.
I was like, we were running the business for a couple of months, and I was like, I'm just taking orders, breaking bread with a guy 50%. And like you're at the time what looked like at the tail end of his career.
Yeah.
Like Jake had a really crazy spike. Jake and Logan had a really crazy spike, and then had a crazy downfall for like 2 years.
Yes.
And that's when he started training for boxing.
Right?
And then they started boxing and doing all that athletic shit, and they rose back up and like hit an all-time high. But for like 2 years when he was in that Calabasas home, he was like flailing out.
Yeah.
So it was in that when he was in the Calabasas, we had closed that. We'd done a bunch of things. And it's like, none of it was sticking, bro. Like we just didn't see any real momentum in anything that we wanted to see.
Okay.
And like we just kind of gave up on that business.
Fair.
And then I go and sign a deal with Von Dutch.
Yeah.
So in 2020, I signed a deal with Von Dutch, and Von Dutch's deal is basically like I walk into the store because I invested in a sneaker store called Cookies and Kicks, which was across the street from Von Dutch.
Yeah.
So Peter's like, yo, Von Dutch is the next Chrome Hearts. We walk in there, and I'm like, how much money are you guys making, by the way? You guys must be crushing off the backs of this Chrome Hearts wave. And he's like, no, we're about to shut down the store. Like, we're making no money. I'm like, what, online and in store? He's like, yeah, we're making probably 30, 40 grand a month. I'm like, you're kidding. I was like, look, I come back the next day, and I go to Ed. I'm like, anything over $100,000 in sales, I want 10% of. Wow. But don't give me anything. Let me take your whole business north to $100,000 in sales, and everything north of $100,000, I want 10% of.
Dude, that's a beautiful deal for them.
It's a beautiful deal for them.
Yeah.
So check out, see what happens here. About like, I need a bunch of inventory to go gift. I take all these Von Dutch hats. I go to every TikToker in the city, every rapper in the city, and I just start seeding them.
Yeah.
And then as they start posting the pictures with the Von Dutch, because the quality was crazy, the logo's crazy, like everything was crazy about the brand. They just didn't have any marketing. And then boom, first month, 150 G's. Second month, 400 G's. Next month, 600, 700 G's. And by the time I left, it's millions.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy part. Every time somebody was posting, let's say it was like Drake or Megan Thee Stallion with like a Von Dutch hat, I'd run a Facebook ad targeting their followers.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
So Drake just posted a picture of the Von Dutch hat. I'm raping all of Drake's followers with a picture of that hat on their fucking story on the swipe up.
Dude.
I'm printing 20 ROAS, 15 ROAS, literally printing money like candy.
It's insane. And it's funny you say this because I actually remember that moment in time where Von Dutch had this little rebirth.
Rebirth is all me. But then it
crazy.
failed. But then it failed, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It's a great story. Great story for a lot of people learning. So I bring back Von Dutch in 2020.
Yes.
Hottest fucking thing, bro.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
I remember.
All the six, especially you really remember because I had all the Toronto boys. That's how me and Houdini and Pressa and all these guys. Pressa, Houdini, Six Buzz, all of them. Toronto fucking Von Dutch up. I had the whole six Von Dutch up.
Yes.
Yeah. You literally they were my Canadian
That's what I'm
pulls.
saying.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's how I inserted myself with all those guys.
Okay.
So I was the Von Dutch guy. Everyone got free Von Dutch, was running the ads, printing money. By the time I left, they were making like millions a month.
Wow.
So my deal was great, right? I had fucking done a crazy deal, but they fucked up. Because when it came down, I only had a 1-year term with them. When it came down to renegotiate the deal, I thought I was LeBron. I came to the Lakers and I promised a championship. And in my first year, I gave him a championship.
Yes.
And what do you do with LeBron, who promises you a championship and delivers a championship? You do what any other good sports organization or any good entrepreneur or any good business owner would do, is you give LeBron the supermax.
Yes.
And you say, never leave, please.
Yes.
Right? And instead, they try to put me on a rookie contract. And they thought they had it made.
They got greedy.
Thing fell off 6 months later.
Yeah, they got
in the
greedy.
tanker. But the Von Dutch case study told me, I was like, dude, the power that I had learned, the relationships, the network that I had learned through this, crazy, chaotic, last couple of years of influencer monetizing. If Von Dutch was my brand, I would have been worth $100 million.
Yeah, you could have sold it.
No, it was $100 million. It was like the revenue, the growth was insane.
Yes.
Right? And I could have kept it going way harder. Right? I could have go. So I was like, holy shit. I was like, I have the juice now.
Yeah.
I am the juice.
You are the juice.
I am the influencer because of all of these relationships and how I can actually see the product. So then I was like, holy fuck, I need my own thing. So while the Von Dutch case study happened, I go and I insert myself into Full Send in Jesse's warehouse. So this is like when Jesse and Kyle start kind of segmenting a little bit. They had their little thing. And Jesse was like planning to like kind of leave Full Send. But in the interim, I was like, let me just understand how you guys are doing running this op. So it was not it wasn't that wasn't my plan though per se, because it was actually really genuine in the sense that I had a friend, Tori. We were really good friends. We started hanging out with Jesse. Like Tori and Jesse were like best friends. I started hanging out with Jesse, and the dude was just like a great fucking guy. And it seemed like he needed somebody like me in the midst of like this turmoil. So it wasn't even like me being an opportunist. It actually just kind of happened naturally off of the strength of friends. And then I realized like, oh shit, Jesse and Kyle are separating. Jesse doesn't have any business people. Kyle has Shahidi. John Shahidi in his corner. I was like, Jesse doesn't have any smart people in his corner with the exception of Tori and like one or two others.
Sure, but nobody that's like really done it.
No one has really done it like that. And like he wants to go spin it off and whatever. And I'm like, well, I got a lot of things that like I think I can bring to the table here. So I spend 6 months doing that. I'm in like a lot of the shit. Like I kind of relive my Patty thing part 2.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Because like now I'm traveling around with him a little bit. He's still kind of hot because of Nelk. Obviously, like it's Jesse. You know what I mean? Nelk doesn't know that there's beef. They just know there's a little bit of a break because Jesse wants to sober up and like get ready. So then we start having like another one of those moments. I'm like, I'm super grateful for it, whatever. But during one of those road trips, we went to Sedona.
Okay.
And we do a road trip, and this girl, Courtney, is his assistant. And she had bought a bunch of these like gel blasters from Kickstarter. And we see these and I start shooting. I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. This is like better than Nerf.
Yeah.
I make a story on my Instagram. I'm like, who owns these gel blasters? I got a proposition for you. Because I knew because remember, I'm in the business of understanding winning products at this point.
Yeah.
I had been conditioned to like see what worked in the marketplace and what didn't, because I had all these influencer stores that were selling little garbaggio.
Yeah.
But like I knew which little whether it was fidget spinners or cloud goggles or chains,
what was gonna hit.
I knew what hits. So I saw these. I was like, these are a smash. Whatever. So because we're all playing with them, and Big Bear, like we're like, dude, we can't stop playing with these things.
Yeah.
So then I go to make that story. Within 24 hours, somebody hits me up. It's like, I know the inventor of that. It's a guy named Colin. I was like, get me in touch with Colin. I call Colin. I let the full send nuts hang, right? And I'm like, yo, come to LA. You know what I mean? Come to our warehouse in LA. Come to the warehouse in LA.
Yeah.
Basically work out a deal to be their biggest stakeholder in Gel Blaster. I would step in as their CMO, and we take it to the fucking moon.
Okay.
Within 12 months, it hits $100 million in sales.
Wow.
And I run the same Von Dutch playbook.
Yeah. Give it to everybody.
Same Von Dutch playbook, right? Give it to everybody, whatever, good price, whatever. All the while, like NFTs are hot. I'm starting to trade NFTs. My guy Tori, he's at the like we're just printing off of shit coins and trading NFTs, whatever. I have this huge Instagram network that I had acquired over the course of the last couple of years. Guys were paying me like 30, 50 grand for an Instagram post to post their NFT. I was like, what the fuck is this madness going? Right? And then I just love these Pudgy Penguins. The Pudgy Penguins was like, we had this group chat. Everyone was buying apes. The only thing I called in that group chat was Pudgy. I was like, this makes sense. I see the vision here. Long story short, like Gel Blaster's on the up and up. I'm like, dude, the CMO position goes from like viral marketing to like Walmart marketing, right? It's two different types of marketing.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
One is like commercials and news and TV, which is like what Gel Blaster was doing, versus like the influencer shit that I was doing.
Yeah, so you were like on that social media side.
I was on that social media CMO. I was like, I was perfect, but I was like, look, Colin's over here telling me to do TV commercials. I'm like, I don't want to do this shit. So I'm like, all right. Like part of my mind knew that like I was like, we took this shit to 100 mil in like 14 months. It doesn't feel as good as I thought it would feel, which sucks.
Okay.
And like now my job kind of sucks because like we're doing a bunch of marketing that I don't like to do.
Yes. You're not enjoying it.
So this is like off the backs of Q4. That December, like this is a couple months now that I'm thinking these thoughts. I go to Sedona. I'm like, what's my future? Because like I got my equity.
Yeah.
Right. Like I have a little bit of a comp package, an extra like vesting if I hit certain milestones. All the milestones are hit, but like if I spend some more time, I could get a little bit more of the pie. But I'm like, my piece of the pie is already so big.
Yeah.
Like I don't really need more pieces of the pie.
I have what I need.
Like this
Yeah.
thing's good to go. Right. Like I'm already gonna make a fortune on this. Like when it sells, I'm like, I made it. So then I go to Sedona. And the whole purpose of my trip to Sedona is to go and like figure out what my next chapter is, if there's a next chapter, or just to get my thoughts together.
Yeah.
Now, Sedona, if you know, is like the spiritual capital of America.
Yes.
Right? It is like a vortex, they call it. It's like it's supposed to be something in the geography, like makes it a very unique place in the sphere of the world.
Did you find it to be that?
Well, I'll tell you.
Okay.
So I go, and as I'm leaving Sedona, right, didn't really find any of the answers I was looking for. But as I was leaving Sedona, I see a tweet from a guy called Beanie Maxi saying he bids 500 ETH for the Pudgy Penguins IP. Right? Now I'm an NFT expert at this point. I had made millions trading it. I had made millions selling services for them.
Yeah.
I had like completely understood everything about this business.
Okay.
And I was like, 500 ETH for Pudgy Penguins is insane. Like, I had wanted to go and, because I saw the opportunity in building an NFT project. But I didn't like, I just didn't feel comfortable being like, this is my NFT project. I'm going to go and fucking like, this is my, because I had seen in the people who had bought the post for me on Instagram, I had seen like, okay, a couple months that was dope, but once the fucking floor dipped, I just saw the hell that ensued.
Yeah.
So I'd never really thought about like starting my own. I was like, this is too bad. But I was like, holy shit, I'm a huge collector of Pudgy Penguins. I think NFTs are here to stay. I think the market opportunity is in the tens of billions.
Yeah.
One day, hundreds of billions.
Okay.
And everything that I've seen every NFT project do, specifically like off the backs of Bored Ape, I was like, there's nothing Bored Ape did that I can't do.
Fair.
And I was like, but like Pudgy had like all these, had the craziest whale holder base, just was totally neglected in like the craziest form. And I was like, I would be saving this. Like I wouldn't be starting it. I'd be saving it. And I was like, dude, this could work pretty crazy.
Okay.
So I made a bid leaving Sedona. Right when I saw that tweet, I messaged a group chat. I said, does anybody want to bid on this Pudgy Penguins with me? And a bunch of them said yes. Most of them didn't stay a part of the deal because once the deal was actually accepted, I was like, okay, I need a real team here.
Yeah.
Not a bunch of like NFT trader schmucks.
Yeah.
But leaving Sedona, it was unconscious too. I literally made a quote retweet and I said, 750 ETH for the Pudgy Penguins, your move. I didn't even know what the fuck I was doing.
Wow.
I didn't even know what I was. It was literally within a span of 15 minutes from when I saw that tweet to when I made that tweet, literally leaving Sedona lines to go to Las Vegas because we're driving from Sedona to Las Vegas. I make that tweet. Boom. Within 3 days, I get some sort of, so even crazier part of the story is like the first 24 hours, they don't take me seriously. So my tweet falls on deaf ears.
Okay.
I ended up being on a boat 3 weeks earlier with Cole's childhood best friend, and I'm an introvert. I never go on boats. I've been on a boat 4 years in Miami, maybe 4 times.
Wow.
Right? One of the times was with this kid, random kid from bumfuck nowhere, was on a boat who ended up being Cole Ethereum's childhood friend. He ended up messaging me and said, are you serious about this? I said, yes, I'm serious. Boom, connect to Cole, it accepts the deal. Fucking, we're go time.
Okay. 750 ETH at the time.
2.5.
What does that equate to? 2.5 million?
Yeah.
And for you felt like that was a no-brainer?
Dude, it was making 600 G's a month in royalties. Even if I didn't want to build it from like an IP perspective, just buying it and letting it ride was smart.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah, like how anyone let me buy that for 2.5 was insane.
Yeah.
You put up 6 for that and it's worth it.
Yes. Okay.
You know what I mean? If it's making on a shitty month with shitty leadership, it's making 500 G's a month.
Wow.
Duh.
Yeah, makes yeah.
You pick it up.
Okay, so you pick it up. Are you in? Walk me through that because that's.
So I didn't even think the deal was going through because they wanted a clause that basically said that I was going to incur all of their liability for buying this. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you guys did. I'm not going to incur your liability. So for 3 months, we're going back and forth, and they ended up folding at the last minute. And so I remember doing the deal at the Gel Blaster HQ and or having Lorenzo transfer the money because Lorenzo had ETH, I didn't. And we basically like, I didn't even know it was going to happen until the day before. I kind of like was accepting the fact that it wouldn't happen actually. Okay. And I kind of liked the attention of like us potentially buying it, but us not buying it. And then when we bought it, then when the money transferred, I was like, oh shit, I got to leave Gel Blaster or whatever. So I go to the office that day in Austin because they're at the robotics center. And I'm like, hey, Colin, like, I think it's time to put Roger in my role because, like,
I'm out.
I'm rocking with you boys, but it's too much, you know, I got a new commitment here. And so, dude, the first, maybe to be honest, I tell people I knew what the fuck I was doing. I didn't.
I was going to say, like,
in all my interviews, I say that I'll just be honest with you, dude. I really did not know what the fuck I was going to do, but this is where it came in. This is like, I so much didn't know what the fuck to do that I go to the community and I'm like, for the next week, you guys are going to tell me what the fuck you want. So we do
smart.
like 3 to 4 hour sessions in the Discord. I'm like, I just bought this. What do you guys want to see?
Yeah, smart.
And then I started seeing it. I'm like, And then I always had a vision for Pudgy Penguins as a collector as to what it could become. So I always knew the grand vision. Because like, if I close my eyes, I'm like, Pudgy Penguins, Paw Patrol, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like all this shit just makes sense. Like, I see that the same way I see everything else. To me, Pudgy Penguins is $1 billion IP. Yeah. I always knew that the second I saw it. That's why I started collecting them. So I was like, okay, I know that part, but like, what's all the in between? So then the community, I figure out all the in between. I seed the company with another 500 G's to like bootstrap it. First thing we do is like, I want to come correct for the community. So I'm like, look, you guys have been dealing with shit for the last 6 months. Everyone's doing all this cool shit. I'm going to throw a crazy banger in Miami.
Nice.
Tory Lane's last show in Miami was at my Pudgy Penguins.
Oh my
His
God.
last show ever before he got locked
arrested.
up
Yeah.
was at my house party in Miami at the Pudgy Penguins event.
That's amazing.
His last performance ever before he got locked up.
That's crazy.
Crazy. Right? Crazy yacht we booked, crazy venue. All the Penguins come down. It's pretty fucking historic. I kind of finagled it with my other boys, like mastermind. So I kind of said, because it was like a $200,000 fucking event.
Sure.
I only paid like 80 for it, but like I like did a little my boy who's throwing a mastermind, we did like a joint event, so it made sense. And we basically did that, and then that kind of set the tone, and then this is where hell kind of came, which is like royalties then went to zero.
Okay.
Right after this party. So the first month in Pudgy Penguins, we made like 800 G's in royalties after my acquisition. Because they bought the news, they sold the news, I pumped and I dumped and I made a bunch of money on the royalties. I found a little bit of a higher base than, like I bought it was at 0.8 and went to 4, then went all the way back down to like 1.1, 1.2, right? And then people started bidding it again. And then royalties went to zero, and then the market FTX blew up.
Yes. All that.
And I'm like, dude.
It must have destroyed you guys.
And then, so I went from 700, 800 G's the first month to 50 G's the second month to 0 G's the third month. I'm like, bro.
What did I just spend my money on? Yeah.
Holy shit. So, I probably got like 800 G's left because I got the little 700, the little bit of revenue. And now I'm like, dude, we're just going to have to, I was like, so I have this thing. So this is important. When I have this thing with these interviews, there's the Scott Hillsy interviews that I do. And in every interview, I call out my destiny. So with Von Dutch, in the first interview I do with Scott, I said, I'm going to make this the hottest brand in the world. And for a couple of months I did. It was the hottest thing. It was the hottest streetwear brand in the world. Yeah. And it would have been for a long time if they would have kept me on board. And then after that, I did another interview and I said, there's this company, Gel Blast. We're going to make it the hottest company. We're going to make it the hottest toy company in the world. It's going to be in Walmart. It's going to be Target. It's going to be everywhere. Within 6 months it was, and it was like monster success, right? I then did another interview with him and I said, I'm buying this Pudgy Penguins. I'm going to make this the biggest NFT project in the world. So I'm like, I'm anchoring myself, self-prophesizing.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it intentionally. One, because I think it's super badass as you look back on those clips and you'd be like, dude, he really fucking did it.
He said that, yeah.
And the second one is really to hold me accountable so I don't look like so I don't cheat myself out because I know myself.
Yeah.
I know I have enough money where if things get too hard, I can quit.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But the one thing that won't let me quit is my ego. And the only way that I won't quit is if I put my ego on the line.
Yeah, and you have to sometimes.
Yeah, I have to. Right? So Von Dutch, I said it, I did it. Gel Blaster, I said it, I did it. And I was super granular about it. I was like, Walmart, Target, hottest toy. I did it. Fucking gangster, right? Pudgy Penguins. I said it. At the time, I was like, bro, I fucking said it. Like, I got to do it now,
Yeah.
And so, boom, we just dig deep, bro. We roll up our sleeves, man. And we're like, we're going to build this fucker and we're going to beat everyone. Because the thing is about the crypto space is it's not deep with elite entrepreneurs. It's not
a bunch of dudes who just made money super quick.
A bunch of like technically smart guys or really smart creative guys or dudes that got lucky at the right time at the right moment.
Yes.
Not dudes who are dogs that go and eat it and kill it. It's really a pond full of koi fish.
Yeah.
And if you can hop in and be a shark, it's very easy to eat fucking people's lunch.
Okay.
Right? And so I started to see this and I was like, yeah, this shit sucks. Don't get me wrong. But I'm going to go dog this shit. And I'm going to and I see it. Even today, I see it. Like, even today, like, it's been a rough couple of months for the Pudgy Penguins, to say the least. I'm not worried. Because there's too many weaklings around.
Yeah.
And I'm too much of a dog to be like, over the course of time, no one's going to beat this.
Yeah.
And I stand on that. I stand on that at our all-time highs. I'll stand on that at our all-time lows.
But you say that, right? And you say that also because I think now your mentality has changed to enterprise value.
Totally.
And that takes time to build. That's a real entrepreneurial story.
Yeah.
Right? Drop shipping, yes, the money, the whole thing, but you, like you said, you can never exit. And that, it probably just felt like 90-degree angle up.
Yeah.
Now that you're really building something that you're looking for that the billions, like yeah, you're gonna have your ups and your downs. And then you mix in the fact that it is like a crypto-based business, right?
Yep.
To start. But that's actually kind of the question I wanted to ask you. Like, what is the model now? So you had the royalties, which is the whole like when it's being traded. But fine, let's like remove that aside. Or is that still the main core business? And then, because I know you've gone into like Walmart now with the plushies and stuff. Like, walk me through the other side of the business.
Yeah. Pudgy Penguins will do $30 million this year in revenue from licensing and products.
Cool.
So like we have very much a traditional business. So we have like, I want you to look at it as like two curves.
Okay.
Here, let me grab these pens to show you here. I'll show you. It's probably worth it. So you have this IP business.
Yeah.
This is the IP business.
Okay.
I can grow it year over year, right? As I grow it, it markets the NFTs, it markets the token. This is a business that's been done 100 times before, that there's a recipe and there's a proven track record to grow this from 0 to $1 billion.
Okay.
Takes some time.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty, like if this is horizontal, it's like a steady incline, right? Just year
Slow
over
and
year,
steady.
tread on, right?
Yeah.
The crypto business is like this and like this. So it's just like, while this is going like this, right? And ultimately, this is really important for the crypto side because eventually there's a minimum price in which like all of our assets can be, right? So as long as this goes up, like there's a certain price where a Pengu token is probably really around like where it's at today, where it's like the true enterprise value of this line is around what the Pengu token's at today, which is like 300 million bucks. If you look at my books and you do my numbers and you look at like my pull and my growth on like the actual business, it's worth on paper 400 million dollars.
Sure.
Right? On this steady growth curve.
Yes.
Right? And it also supports the speculative stuff because like a lot of the case that we're making for, let's say, Pengu and our NFTs, and it's like on our token is like, you know, Doge is worth $40 billion, $30 billion. But this is creating something that Doge doesn't have, which is I'm getting more views on social every day than Doge is getting. I'm selling more products than Doge is getting. I'm in more homes than Doge is in. I have more games and products that people love and enjoy than Doge. Right? And eventually my Elons and the people of power that like move and create those Doge-like moments will come and appreciate and love this. That will then bolster this in ways that I think crypto's a token has never seen that recipe in crypto before.
Understood.
Right? So if I make a breakthrough TV show or a movie that Elon's kids are loving and Elon comes and becomes a Pudgy Penguin Maxi, even great, even better. Or Warren Buffett or fucking Jeff Bezos, right? Or BlackRock or the big hedge funds.
You're building real value in comparison to the token.
Right.
Whereas Doge's value is if Elon tweets or not.
Totally. But I'm also creating an opportunity and a net for those Elon tweets. For those, you know, Jeff Bezos and
You're
those.
You're giving it the opportunity that it could happen at any moment.
Exactly. Because if I create those products and those things that people enjoy, if I have enough memes, enough GIFs, enough content, eventually it's going to happen, bro.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time.
Dude, I'm hunting Elon in the search, in the GIF searches right now. Right? Within a couple of years, every Elon and Tesla GIF will be a penguin. Right? You know? So eventually I'll get there. And eventually it will create those parameters. The problem is I can't control this
right now. Yeah, it's probably too crazy.
No, it's too impossible. I like even me personally, I put like $5 million buying Pengu over the last couple of weeks. It's a lot of fucking cheese. Thing is, you can't control it. It's physically non-controllable. It's down from where I bought it. Right? I couldn't hold the price. Right? But not to say that I just thought it was a cheap, good price and a good entry for me. What it is. I thought I could hold it to some extent, but neither here nor there. The point of the matter is you can't control this. This is controlled by tailwinds that whatever. But if you continue to grow this, it will create moments where it will bounce, right? Because eventually there is a certain price in which the Pengu token.
You'll find your bottom.
You will find the bottom because this is very prevalent and important. There is a lot, like today, Pudgy Penguins is the most popular crypto native IP ever. Crypto native IP is the most important thing. So if crypto is going to win, you don't think crypto native IP is going to win? right? Like crypto, I am the best, biggest, most important representative and bastion of crypto native IP and character and community in crypto by a Texas mile. It's me and Bored Apes.
I was gonna say, that's
it's
it.
me,
Those
Bored
two.
Apes, and Punks, right?
Yeah.
But
Punks doesn't really do anything.
no, but even apes will tell you, like, no one's manufacturing it like us.
Yeah.
Like, where apes had their moment and they have a slew of amazing products and things they're working on, and I do believe in them, right? Like, even Gargo will tell you, nobody's doing what we're doing on a day-for-day basis today, right now, for the proliferation of IP like we're doing it, right?
Yeah.
So from a crypto native perspective, like Bored Apes high was so much higher than our high, but our compounding consistency over time is what's going to win. Like, nobody is creating demand and awareness for the character like we're doing day over day over the last couple of years like we've been doing it.
Yeah, like I agree with what you're saying. And I think that's actually a great way to put it into perspective. It's like Bored Ape had a high that was insane.
Yeah.
But no offense, I'd love to get the founders on one day. Where is Bored Ape right now?
Yep.
Right? Whereas what you're saying is with Pudgy,
they're in a good spot. Trust me.
No, of course. But I mean, like, I'm talking relevancy, like on the ground
totally.
today.
You know, relevancy on the day to day. They're not nearly what they used to be.
That's my point. Whereas you guys, like you said, fine, maybe not. The highs haven't been the same, but it's that slow growth.
Yeah.
Where it's like eventually your idea is Pudgy is to the point where you can't deny it. Everyone's going to know what it is, whether it be through a TV show that your kids love, a movie, books, whatever it is that you're working on, right? Yeah, listen, that's the fucking long game, right?
Yeah.
But you did all the shit in the back end all those years from 16 to 22, 23 that's giving you, the opportunity now to like have this patience. Because I think that what happens is a lot of people get to 25 plus and they were just doing regular shit, which is fine. But they miss out on their dreams or shooting for the stars because they didn't set themselves up financially in a way where if they want to build something that's going to take time, real time, they're not in the position to, right? But then that goes back to what you said earlier, stack and save. Even if you did regular shit for the first 10 working years of your life, like I'm talking 15 to 25 or even 15 to 30, 15 years. Did you stack and save? Or did you just fucking do your job regular and spend and then go paycheck to paycheck where it's like now you're fucking 30, you're like, okay, I'm ready to try something, which is already late in my opinion. Gary Vee says 50's young. I don't agree. And you're like, also, I have a job and I have to pay all my bills. And at the end of the month, I got nothing.
I love that you bring this up because I think it's really valuable for the younger people in your audience. Like, I just pulled my 18-year-old neighbor into interning with me because I was like, you don't understand, like, as you get older, your risk profile gets bigger. Meaning, like, as you get older, a parent could get sick, a girl can get pregnant, right? And your ability to take risk is so nominal. It shrinks. So even like the beauty of my situation and my story is like when I started making money, I was 16. From 16 to 18, I was just stacking. Right? By the time I moved out, I had like 40, 50 racks. I'm top of the world. I pulled him, I'm like, dude, you're over here fucking sniffing your farts all day. Like, I'm going to get you fucking working. Right? Because you can be at your mom's house until you're 20, 21, no problem. Right?
Easily.
You can be at your, like, you know what I mean? You can be at your mom's house until you're 25.
I was going to say.
You know what I mean? You can be, so that is a blessing because you have no bills. And you can just stack. And by the time, I promise, by the time he's 20, 21, he's going to have 100 racks to his name. You know what I mean? Because you can just stack. This is the perfect opportunity for that younger generation.
No mortgage, no this. Like, bro, you don't realize until you get those expenses.
Cooked.
You're fucking cooked.
It's really hard. Then it's really hard. Then I understand why you can't make it out.
Well, 100%. And like, even I'll speak for myself. Like, I stacked. And even then, I was like, I could have stacked more, bro. I could have stacked more. Now, listen, you live, you learn, you do your thing, right? But yeah, that's such an important lesson. The stack and save is fucking huge.
Stack and save. And dude, the young dudes who are still living at the parents' crib, like you have, like I know, and that's why I don't get it. Some dudes are really fucking messed up, misaligned in the head. Dudes will be at the fucking crib at their parents' house making, you know, maybe working, but spending fucking 2/3 of their paycheck on fucking dates and drip and shit. You're a schmuck, bro.
Yeah, bottles.
You're
everything.
a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You're a real idiot.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up with the Joneses, like really keeping up with some shit you can't afford.
Yeah.
Real schmuck saving $500 a week when you could be saving $2,000 a month, $3,000 instead of
But you know what that is, bro? Social media.
Totally.
That's the other side of it, right? Where it's like social
So
media is a
hard.
blessing and a curse. It's a blessing when it's used the way you did it, for example, to build businesses and build your thing. But then it's like, yeah, these young dudes, they get tripped out because they're like seeing that 21-year-old kid in Miami's driving the Ferrari and the Lambo, and then he has the Richard Mille.
But I'm gonna tell you this though, because this is really important, because you're 1,000% right. But I want the person listening, like that fucks you up, even fucks me up.
Yeah, fucks me up too.
You know what I mean?
All the time.
And I'm on.
Yeah.
You know?
Same.
I got a Cullinan, and that shit still fucks me up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, I want you to look at that. The people watching this, I want you to know, I literally just, it's funny you bring that up. I thought that 2 days ago. I was seeing some dude on Instagram. He got like an SVJ, some 20-year-old in Miami, some Vincent. He's actually funny. Some fitness dude. And I'm like, damn, I was like, bro, I was like, I could be living like that. Right. But I was like, I'm not. And I was like, but the thing is, you really don't know how much bread these guys have.
Bro, thank you.
You really don't know how.
You,
and I'll tell you this. I'll even speak to you guys anecdotally. So in that story, what I didn't tell you is during that whole LPT phrase, I lost a lot of money doing that.
Okay.
I lost millions of dollars doing that. I got really close to blowing up a lot of the money that I had made.
Okay.
Because I bought so much inventory, invested so much in branding, and I just like, none of it moved.
Yeah.
And I remember being flexed up in the car, Green Goblin, 4Gs on the fucking M5 comp with the fucking crazy AP on, like taking photos, like I was the man in the world. I was like,
see it.
I was like, bro, I was hurting.
Yeah.
I was down bad, like down bad comparatively, like maybe not, but like I was down to a point where like most of my money was in my $1 million home. Like, granted, it's my $1 million home, but I went from like a multi-million-dollar bank account to like my last 100 G's running that business.
Yeah.
It was a real schmuck. We didn't get into that, but it's like, you really don't know, dude.
Facts.
So one, it's like you see what you see, one. Two, if it affects you and it bothers you, knows it affects the best of us. And even somebody, you guys could be watching this now and being like, yo, you're on, you're dope, you're great. Like, it even affects me.
Yeah.
And three, you really don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Bro, that is the biggest fact. And I'm happy that you say that and you're open about that it affects you, because look at the position you're in. I'm the same way. I'm on. Like, I know a lot of people would love to be in my position, money-wise, the whole thing. And even me seeing these 20-year-olds.
Right.
It can fuck you up.
Fucks you up, dude.
Especially being in Miami, it will fuck you up, bro.
Yeah.
You're talking like a 20-year-old with a fucking $300,000 Richard Mille.
Right.
It's fucked. But to your point, and this is the important piece, is that you don't know the real position they're in. You really don't know. They could be making $100,000 a month and spending 99.
And I'll tell you this, I'll give you some, I'll make you guys feel good on this. So I don't do like, I did like mentorships. Actually, I had like a Netz fellowship cohort like years ago, back in the e-commerce days.
Okay.
It's been like 5 years since I've done any of those. But like there's occasionally a couple entrepreneurs who will hit me up and be like, dude, I got to hop on a call with you, whatever. I'm like, all right, cool, we'll run it, you know, and it's like good on my drive home. There's one kid, I really like him. And he's one of those kids, fucking crazy whips, crazy watches, whatever. And I know his books. Like I know all the money he's making. He's got 1 million followers on Instagram. He's like, you know, around this area, like in South Florida. He's flexing, getting you guys, his whole business is mentorship. He texted me the other day. He's like, I just got back to $1 million in my bank. The way this guy flexes, you would think he would be worth like 20 million.
Yeah.
But he's not. And when he called me, he went from like 1 million to 100 G's in his bank, still had the Patek, still had the 3 cars, still had the 40K a month house.
Yeah.
Insane.
Crazy.
Insane. Like literally like 1 month away from going bankrupt.
Yeah.
I whipped him into shape because he was totally like, his mind was totally miscombobulated. He brought it back 6 months later. He's back to $1 million in his account, but don't be fooled.
Yeah.
Like there's dudes that are on there, like they're living a good life. Don't get me wrong. Like definitely living a good life.
Sure.
But like, they're not loaded like you think they are. Some of them are on their last dollar.
Yeah, it's facts. And they're praying for your fucking $10,000 purchase of their online course to
But
stay
that
alive.
couldn't. But I don't want to demean that though,
Yeah.
because like my life changed from a course, right?
No, of course.
But they are praying, and they are praying for you to fucking
No.
to
Listen,
go make that.
and by the way, I'll agree with you. I'm all for the courses.
Yes.
Even if the fact that you spend the money, you don't learn anything from the course directly, the fact that you spent the money
Yes.
to try to better yourself, I
Yeah.
think is already, that's the biggest value.
Agreed.
But to the point of like these guys, you're thinking they got 20 mil in the bank.
Yeah.
They might be on their last 100K.
Yeah.
Right? So just to put some perspective. No,
That's good
that's good
perspective.
perspective. Listen, Luke, I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you got shit to do here.
Yeah.
We have 2 questions, okay? 2
Yes.
things that we do in the show before we end. First thing is we ask our guests to manifest something for themselves, okay? So that we can look back maybe in 3, 4, 5 years from now and clip it and say, yo, Luca said this, he was going to do this, whether it's for your business, personally, anything you want to achieve, manifest something for yourself in the next 5 years.
In the next 5 years, the Igloo will be a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yes.
We will be.
Give them specifics.
Yeah, I'm going to give you specifics. In the next 5 years, the Igloo will be a multi-billion-dollar company. We will be the #1 NFT project. We would have beaten the punk. We will have a coin in Pengu that's north of $10 billion. We would have launched Abstract to be a top 5 blockchain in the world. I will be fit and healthy and shredded.
Let's go. Let's go.
I will be happy.
Huge.
I will have turned Pudgy Penguins into a global IP, the likes of which of like a Hello Kitty. And I will have cemented myself on the Mount Rushmore of crypto.
Let's fucking go. Jose, that's got to be the best one we've ever got. The most specific and like the fucking, like, I fuck with that. Listen, I have no doubts you'll achieve that, okay? Listen, here's the last thing. Of course, we are the MBH podcast, Money Buys Happiness. So I want to know, Luca, if you believe money buys happiness.
I believe you can't truly be happy. I don't believe money buys happiness, but I believe that you can't truly be happy if money is a problem. So I think you need money to achieve happiness, because I think, to me, happiness is freedom, and you can't be free without money.
Facts. It's facts.
Is the problem. But I don't think money will make you happy. It won't.
Yeah.
So I've been more depressed than any other time in my life with as much money. But I think it's a necessary stepping stone that you need to step on to go and be happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I totally agree. We always say, because I've had almost 300 people now give me their opinion. I've had yeses, nos, maybes. I've had everything in between. I always say it's a 2-pronged approach. I say it's A, how you make your money. Do you enjoy what you're doing?
Good one.
And B, it's what you do with your money. Because you're right. You can make $1 trillion. Seeing $1 trillion in your bank account, it might make you happy for a small period of time. But that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing with that money? Is it giving you purpose?
Yeah.
Is it adding value to your life the way you're spending it?
Yeah.
Right? So I always think it's a 2-pronged approach. I agree. It's more of, it can buy you freedom. I think when I think of even my childhood and a lot of stories that I've heard, the first stress that you understand as a kid a lot of times is like money in the household. There's not enough of it. Right? So if you can remove that, you're already like a step closer to like quote unquote happiness. And then you grow up and you learn about all these other stresses in life that come. But you always tend to see that, I guess, because we live in a capitalistic society, that money always tends to be that, right?
Yeah.
That first one. So, Luca, dude, incredible, man. I appreciate the insider stories you haven't told yet. This was incredible. Guys, if you made it this far, and I know you did, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. We love you guys, Luca. Thanks for inviting us.
Thanks for having me.